I'm on a quest to farm up everything in the game of Minecraft. Hello there, Ray here, and having farms for sugarcane, melons, and pumpkins is important. Melons and pumpkins can be crafted into a variety of different things, but they're mostly used in two different areas. First being composting, where it takes about 11 of them to get one bone meal, but leaving melons in their slice form is more efficient, where the product of about 3 fruits will equal 1 bone meal. This is great early game until you can build my moss farm. The second main area where you use these is when trading with villagers. You can sell them for emeralds, especially if you use this trick here, where you're able to trick villagers to give you 1 emerald for every item. You can also get emeralds using sugarcane, but it has other uses, because not only can be used for brewing, similar to melon slicing, but it can be crafted down to a variety of different things. Most importantly, paper. This is because once you get an elytra, you're going to be going through a lot of paper in order to make rockets. I have 10 different farms for sugarcane, melons, and pumpkins. They come in 5 different stages, from cheap and easy to efficient and fast. First up, my quick and simple melon and pumpkin farm, as well as one for cane. And like my fern and bamboo farms, it uses the mud block, which has a low profile, and mud is considered a type of dirt, meaning that cane and pumpkins and melons will actually grow on top of it. So in this farm here, as soon as the cane grows up and activates this observer here, it's going to activate all these pistons down below. This is going to break off the cane, which is going to be immediately pulled through the mud block and picked up by the hoppers underneath and put into your storage. A cheap and simple design for your early game world. And for the melon pumpkin one, it uses the same concept as my previous melon pumpkin, where when one of these fruits will grow here, it will also curve this stem, which will power all these pistons, breaking them off, turning them into items that can be picked up through the mud block and then put down into your storage. Now mud works great when there's only a small amount, but once you start reaching larger numbers, then you want to go ahead and actually use hopper minecarts to pick up the stuff. You can see it works pretty much the same way, where we detect the last melon or pumpkin growing and then we break them all off, but instead we let the items end up on the ground here and then they get picked up by the hopper minecart and placed into the chest over here. We also need a water source to keep the farmland nice and moist so they grow faster. And for the sugarcane, it works a similar way, where we have it set up so the redstone will activate all of them once this one on the end here grows. And then we just have a hopper minecart picking up everything and placing it over here into this chest. And we got water to keep all these from popping off. If you want a more efficient design, then go for this one here, where every single column is kind of operated on its own. Notice as soon as something grows, it will automatically detect it and break it off. This is because each of the individual stems are being read by observer, and that's being put into a note block, which is breaking them off underneath. This setup here is using quasi connectivity, but you could also do this in Bedrock Edition by placing down some extra redstone dust. With the most expensive thing in these builds being the iron, which you can get from my iron farm here, or the quartz, which you can get from my barbering farm here. All the items are once again being collected by hopper minecart and stored away. Similar things happening over here, where they're updating this observer and they are quasi connectivity powering this piston, which is being updated by the note block, and everything is being stored down below in this chest over here. But if you want to be really efficient, then use these designs here, where we have fly machines that are doing large amounts of either pumpkins and melons as well as sugar canes. So with these, it works similar to my bamboo farm. Once one of the crops here grows so tall, so like the bamboo gets up to here, it's going to activate some redstone through this observer here, which is going to start up this fly machine. And that's going to then sweep across, breaking off any of the plants, and they're going to drop as items on the ground here. Once it gets to the end here, we then have a small redstone contraption, which will then activate and send it back to its resting station. You can make this farm as long as you want. You just need to make sure that it's close to where the player is, as it depends on random ticks. Now once it gets to end, it's going to activate this hopper minecart, which is going to come in and pick up all of the items. If you make the farm a little bit too big, the hopper minecart won't be able to pick up all the items, so I try to keep it this length. When it comes through and picks them all up, it will then zip in and out and then eventually end at its unloading station, where it will deposit them in your storage. The pumpkin melon one works very similar, except it detects this change that occurs to this stem here. So when this will grow, it will curve the stem like that, and this will send a redstone signal to the fly machine, which will come through and break off the melons, and then it'll also push the actual items along. We do need to have light near the melon stems, that way they can actually grow, and we also need to have water, which we have over there. Then we have a little machine that just turns the whole thing around and pushes it backwards. All the items fall off the ledge here and will land onto this rail, or they will get pushed to the side, from where we also have rail underneath. And this is where we're going to run the hopper minecart. Once it reaches the end, it's going to dock and then activate the hopper minecart, which is going to come in and pick up all of the items. By doing this way, we can minimize the amount of rails we have to put down while still making it relatively simple to build up. And just like the other one, it will automatically come and unload all its stuff. Alternatively, instead of using an observer to send it off, you could also hook this up to a clock and time it so that the majority of the cane is grown before you come in and harvest. In both these designs, we have walls to prevent the items from falling out. The water in the center here is actually also used as a collection for the cane. And the pattern which I use is just the most efficient, so we can easily run fly machines through here. The next versions of mine are similar to the ones above, except we remove the rails and instead have the hopper minecarts on the actual fly machines. These two styles are also more clean looking and could be integrated as an open garden. This makes the overall build a bit cheaper, but it's a little bit harder to actually get the minecarts inside there. So to get the minecarts inside, we'll start out by putting some full sand like block, place a rail on top, and then place a minecart on top, and then just jump up and bump it a little bit, and it should end up over to the side. You can turn on hitboxes by pressing F3 plus B. Then what we want to do is stand here kind of on the edge and place down another minecart so it can come towards you. And if it falls off, just stand a little bit closer and then place down another one. And eventually your player is actually going to align it just like so. Then you can move out of the way without bumping it, and you can do the same thing on this side. Just remember to push the minecarts towards the center first off. And when putting the outside one in, just make sure you're not standing directly on the edge, stand in a little bit because you don't want the minecart to be too far away, otherwise it won't connect up with the honey. Now once you got them in location, you place a leaf in front of this as well as in front of this rail here. And then remove both of these rails. And then when the machine does take off, it's going to automatically push them inside. The only difference is now when it breaks off each of the cane here, items themselves are getting picked up by the hopper minecarts and getting stored inside of them. They're also getting slowly pushed out, and that's why we can only make this one so long. Once they reach the end, they're going to get pushed back inside, and we also have a little device which will turn it around. And then with this design, we don't have to worry about collecting them with rails and hoppers. And instead, when the hopper minecarts come to the end here, they're going to get realigned or they fall out again. And they're going to be set automatically on top of these hoppers here, where they can put all their stuff into chest. The melon pumpkin one also works the same way, where we have a flying machine that is detecting when this stem here turns, and that will activate redstone, sending it off. And then we just have some hoppers underneath, where the same blocks that break off of the melons and pumpkins will also be the ones that have the hoppers inside, and they will push them along and all the items are being collected. We also do have light, but I put it up here so it's a little bit slimmer, and you don't have to worry about having the rails and hopper minecarts underneath. So this lets blocks to place down as well. At the end, we also have a little device which turns it around, and we make sure to realign the hoppers both directions, because if you go too far, they do slowly move outwards. As you can see, they can end up getting pushed outwards. And then once we reach the very end, it's going to align the hoppers back inside their blocks and store them on top of these hoppers, which will put everything into these chests. Now see how I farmed up every other item in the game of Minecraft with this playlist here. Or this one all about more simple and easy farms. Let other Minecrafters know about them and credit Ray's works. If you enjoy my farms, support me on Patreon, because only with your guys' support am I able to continue doing this. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.